Hey y'all.
Hey.
Welcome back, Tonya.
Thank you.
We missed you so much. I had to do a watch of a movie with you. We watched Marry Me Together on text.
I know, that was awesome. And then I went on a J-Lo rom-com binge.
As you should. As you should.
I'm sorry, I was I had been overserved. So I was watching along with you, but I was not communicating about it.
Shout out to being overserved when you overserve yourself, because that's also
I mean, somebody's got to do it, and it might as well be me.
There you go. We are on episode 23, like Jordan.
We're in our Jordan episode.
So that means it has to be excellent, which I have no doubt.
Is that the only reference to 23 that's famous, like Jordan? It's like there's nothing else with 23.
Like Lost, but everyone's tried to forget that.
I already have
Lost.
I
had to bring up Lost. Well, maybe bringing up Lost will make us feel more generous towards General Hospital.
I am not feeling generous this week.
Uh-oh.
I'm like trying, because I feel a lot of pride in the fact that like people know that we love Sabrina and Vanna, like, so we are positive content for that. But I just like feel a rage by being gaslit by General Hospital this week. But that's okay. That's neither here nor there. Tonya.
So welcome back, Tonya.
All right.
Yeah. Do y'all want to just get into the recap?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now I just want to preface this with, I wrote this while I was also overserved. So we're gonna see what happens.
See what you
Not
really
today. You're like, are you overserved today?
Not yet.
Like right now?
Not yet.
Well, okay. There's all that research around state dependent memory. So you should have overserved yourself before the podcast, and then you would be able to draw back from those. No, okay.
No.
Well, then just go ahead.
We do not want Tracey Unchained on this podcast. We'd be canceled. Somebody will come in and be like, y'all can't record no more. We're dead here.
We know you don't get paid and you have no sponsors or any of this, but we're pulling you anyway.
We're taking your Zoom account.
Right. I'm banning your Zoom account from now on.
All right, let's do this. We start the week on the side of the road with Peter's prison transfer gone wrong. Dante has a head injury and Mac is shot. Felicia and Anna show up. And Anna and Dante determined that the whole thing was an inside job. Peter found time to double, triple, and quadruple cross Victor, kidnap Wheezy, and knock out a pizza boy, and take his hat, and kidnap Charlotte. And the soapiest setup possible, and I say that with great delight, Carly finds out that Dante is in the hospital. She goes by to check in on him, and is surprised that Sonny is not there. Sonny is on a haunted star, heartbroken because he thinks Carly is not coming for his grand gesture. Nina, somehow, who is always there, shows up. They talk about their time in Nixon Falls, affirm their love, and head to the bed where Kiki's body was staged after Ryan Chamberlain killed her. How romantic. Carly shows up and sees how things are decked out and is pleased with the effort, right up until she opens the door and sees Nina and Sonny in bed together. There is shock on the screen and delight on my face from watching it all go down. She tells him she was late because Mac and Dante were injured, but his son is okay if he wanted to know. Carly and Sonny argue on the deck while Nina leaves from some second entrance I don't know about, maybe a window. And there's a lot of yelling and gaslighting in the Carson conversation, which ends with Carly telling him it's over and Sonny throwing their wedding bands overboard. And then Dante go to BLQ and Chase's house to help with the search for Bailey. With Ned also in the room, Maxie announces that Wheezy is her baby. Ned is in disbelief, but the group gets to work to find her. Elizabeth and Finn also come by and learn the truth. And we find out for some reason, Finn has been sleeping on Liz's couch. Also romantic. Chase and Finn share an emotional moment, and Finn tells his brother he is proud of him. Thank God, brother and not son. But here we are. Valentine is found in the alley, and his first words are, "Call Anna Devane." He is rushed to the hospital, where even though people know he doesn't drink like that, people think he might be drunk, but thankfully the toxicology report comes back clean. He tells Anna that Weezy is in danger. Laura and Kevin realize that Charlotte is missing, and when they go to tell Valentine, magically, Victor Cassadine Sheffield strolls in with her. Thankfully, because they are super spies and people with common sense, Anna and Valentine know something just is not right about this. Also at the hospital, Mac wakes up, and we know Dante has been released against medical advice. We'll stick a pin in that. Drew and Sam are talking about their relationship when Nina comes in, and Sam tells her that Dante is fine. When she gives the update, she accidentally tells Nina she loves Dante, and Drew obviously overhears. Sonny and Nina make eyes at each other before Sonny learns the truth about Weezy and ends up in the chapel, which I guess is now the unofficial Sona spot. Sonny tells Nina that she's a hero for keeping the baby secret. Yet another ridiculous turn in the baby swap storyline. Carly runs into Drew Lavery at the Q's where she's looking for Michael. My God, y'all, get Carly some real friends, because running to your son to tell him that his dad cheated on you, it's just not a good look, Caroline. Anyway, Drew makes his game show host puppy dog eyes at her, and they almost kiss before Carly stops it. Somehow Peter finding out about Weezy is now Austin's fault, so Maxie's upset at him. She receives a phone call from Peter telling her to meet him, but to ditch her phone and not tell anyone, which Maxie does. Maxie meets him at the pier and convinces him to leave behind Weezy, the child he's been searching for months, and she will go with him to start a new life. They leave a baby at a firehouse for safe surrender, and everyone thinks that Peter is on a boat that Victor arranged, but turns out Peter continues to outsmart everyone by leaving Port Charles in a car. Apparently no one cares about Maxie because her nearest and dearest are out and about like nothing happened. Instead of being a PI and working with Spinelli to find her, Sam is at the Metro Court asking Carly if she's sure she's going to get a divorce, and Nina is at Windermere making all of Ava's messy dreams come true and telling her about that sunny sex with Carly walking in. Carly is meeting with a divorce lawyer, and it shows up on the shared calendar while Sonny is telling half-truths to Phyllis about his marriage. Anyway, if you can tell, I'm not seeing Sonny here, whatever. Anna is, of course, on the case to find Maxie, and she calls in Chase for help. Our girl Terry invented the color blue because she is working that dresser, and we have to enunciate that dresser because she was wearing it that well. And she is going on a date at Charlie's. In the hospital locker room, she and Liz discover that Liz's wedding dress is tattered. And fingers crossed, that's one of Liz's alters who did it. Liz tells Terry she cannot cancel her date. Terry heads off. Her date is supposed to be in a teal shirt, and Chet, quite a throwback, shows up with a teal shirt. So we shall see how that turns out. And finally, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the Robinsons have a family dinner where Temp Taggart really steals the show. Portia and Taggart talk to Trina about the cabin trip in Esme and remind our niece that she is really that girl. And that's what I have for the week. I know I missed some things, but here we are. I was overserved. Here we are with the week. How did y'all feel about it? What were your fave moments? Tell me.
Well, that you did that overserved might have been my favorite moment of the week. But you were asking about what happened on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let Tonya. I'll toss it to Tonya first.
Okay. I like that the wheeziness has been revealed finally to everybody, so no one's secret, no more secrets anymore. I think dealing with that fallout and moving forward with the story with Peter was great. I'm still mad that he's not dead. Wondering if it will finally be resolved in the next week or so. I'm a little put off that it was just kind of dropped for Valentine's Day. But it is what it is with the holiday. I guess they felt the need to do something around the holiday. It was funny because it reminded me of Nina's comment. Well, I guess people still celebrate Valentine's Day. I should have. I mean, and so GH felt the need to do something around the show around Valentine's Day, even though they really didn't. But I guess in the spirit of wanting to have romance on the show, which is still funny to me because the romance is still a little missing. It was overall, it was okay week. It wasn't like, I don't know. And it's February, right? It's supposed to be sweeps. So I guess this is their sweeps, is dealing with the whole Wheezy thing was their sweeps message. So, or story. So I guess, yay.
Oh,
Sweet message.
So
came back from their birthday, sassy.
I have not been overserved, but I just, yeah. So yeah, it was okay. It didn't feel sweepsy to me. Maybe that's weird. It's like I'm coming to this realization that it's sweeps month. And I was like, oh, so the whole Wheezy thing is the sweeps thing. I see.
It's because this is what we should have all the time. It does, but anyway. Sandra, what was your favorite moment of the show this week?
Well, overall, I was like, I could tell that they were trying to do some sweeping. I felt mildly swept. I felt more swept than I was expecting to be.
Are you like Swiffer swept, or
yeah,
actually,
like not, it was not a thorough, like old school 90s hot sweep.
Yeah,
it was like a dusting.
Yeah, it wasn't like Saturday morning mama sweeping. It was more like, yeah, it was more like break out the Swiffer and
I'm not
just
eating
do it.
off that floor. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I felt like, I was grateful that things were moving, like you named, like, that the secret's out and all that. And I was grateful for the different configurations of people together and like all the bets. And I'm sure we'll talk more in depth about that. Just the plot still doesn't make any goddamn sense. So there's that. So yay, you got the right people in the room, and the actors are, of course, wonderful. We know we have the best actors in daytime. That's never the issue. Well, it's usually not the issue. But the plot and the ability to like have characters react in character and in a way that feels grounded in history. But my favorite moment was Laura threatening Victor. I loved it so much. So Victor was had just saved Charlotte, which I guess he technically did. He was a little withholding about the whole context of saving her, that he was the whole reason that she was getting kidnapped in the first place. And he's asking for a hug and a kiss from his granddaughter, and she calls him grand-père. And Laura asks, "What about me?" and goes in for her hug, and then whispers to him, "If I can prove you aided and abetted Peter August, you'll share his fate. Good night."
Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
It was amazing. It was hot. Like, I was like, okay, Laura, I can see. I mean, we know why Kevin is so thirsty when Laura comes home when she's been out of town for a while. Like, I was like, okay, Laura, like, I haven't felt this way in a minute about you, but you could still get it. You could still get it. And I think Victor felt it too. Like, Victor was a little like, moved, I would say.
Right.
So I just love those two and all of their interactions. I love their kind of cat and mouse game, and I love getting to see both like the soft side of Laura, but also this like badass, mama bear or grandmare bear, if you will. So that was the standout favorite moment for me. What about you, Tracey?
Yeah, I really, really loved the Robinson family dinner. It was just so well done. I actually really like this Temp Taggart. I think that when you have somebody who's a temp, they can kind of come in and like play with it in a different way than like the person who's been there for a while, or the person that we know. And so just like the little things that he did were really funny to me. And it just felt so authentic because like this is here, it felt like I was like, who wrote this dialogue? This is somebody Black who wrote this dialogue, because it felt like very cultural, which is, I think, really great when we look at soaps, and like we don't want people there just to be there. We want like actually like everything that people bring with them. So when he was like, what's her name? One more again? Like that was just like a touch that was like so good. Or when he was like giving the toast and he was just like, and if that Spencer can't see, Trina was like, is this why you call me? Like it was just, and you could tell that Brooke and Sydney were having a good time with him. Like Brooke could barely like not laugh at how he was acting. And then the actor kind of got on Twitter and was like really appreciative of it. His name is Asante Jones. And so he interacted with a lot of fans and it was great. But just, for me, it's like why we watch soaps. Of course we want plot and of course we want things to move, but it moves because we care about these families. It moves because we care about these characters. And we can see like ourselves and our families in it. And so having nosy parents, even though like it was like an explicitly Black like conversation and like whatever, everybody can relate to having nosy parents. You know what I'm saying? Like or nosy older family members. And so for me, that was just like the moment of the week that stood out. We got to see Sydney. We got to see like the Robin. We got to see this family unit. We got to see Taggart and Portia have this conversation. And may I say, they had a little bit of Kim.
They did.
They did have a little Kim there. And so just like, having that is so important. And reminding you that Trina is, I know a lot of people don't call her that, but for me, I think of Trina as a legacy character. And like reminding you of that because we get to see her family. So for me, that was like what made me really excited for the week.
Yeah.
I have to agree. And I was, since I guess we're going to transition, excuse me, to standout performance of the week. New Taggart was my runner up, really, because, and I noticed the same thing that you did, Tracey. I mean, he was just so Black, I mean, his reactions and everything. And it was like we do have Black characters on the show, but there's nothing, I mean, they act like, General Hospital characters and not so much like, I see you, you're Black. Yeah, you act it, everything. I mean, Trina does too, but not so much as that. That performance itself was just like real shout out to me. I was like, oh, this is a Black man coming up on GH. And it reminded me of your request that, you want to have, Phyllis and Aunt Stella kind of be the Black mamas talking about everything that's happening on the show and being like, girl, did you hear this? It reminded me of that. Like there was an element to it that was really speaking to our culture that, we're actually kind of really wanting to see a little bit more of. So that's why I was like, yes, he was awesome. So he was like kind of a standout performer for me, and I'm still going through the runners up. Kirsten Storms, in her conversation with Peter, I think Maxie humanizes Peter in a way that he, even the actor in a little bit, he just seems a little bit more human when he's acting with Maxie, because I mean, he before kind of felt like he acted like Wheezy was his, huh?
I said cartoonish. I'm sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah, cartoonist, but also he acted like Wheezy was a possession of his that he had to have. And Maxie made him really think about Wheezy in terms of being a parent and what is best for her. And so that I attribute to Kirsten Storms more than I attribute to the actor. His name is falling, but Peter, because I think Kirsten does that, humanizes him a little bit more, and he seems less like a caricature than a person, more like a person and less like a caricature. So I have to give her shout out for actually making him better as an actor, but also because she brought out some emotion in me when on Thursday, and he brought her to the fire station, and she's just like, I can't, even though she came up with this plan and it didn't quite go as she had wanted, but she succeeded in making sure that he doesn't run off with Wheezy. She realizes, oh my God, I'm giving up my child again, and it is hurtful to me and I can't do it. But she ends up doing again what's best for her child. So love that is another runner up. But I have to give it to my most favorite performance was the performance between Amanda Sutton and Wally Kurth. When they have that one-on-one and that come to Jesus moment where she admits that, yes, this is what I did. And when she breaks down and the realization that, she lost Wheezy and she's really upset, and Wally Kurth holds her and she's crying. I cried. And just to make sure, I rewatched the episode again, and again I cried with her. Because yes, I mean, she is an evil bitch, but she loved that child. And so I felt for her in that moment, and she really pulled it off. So I just want to give a shout out to Amanda Sutton and Wally Kurth for some really great scenes.
Yeah. I think that people have shouted out the scenes between Amanda and Josh Swickard, but I also agree that like she was at her best when it was her and Wally. Like you really felt the like father-son relationship. You really felt Wally, like, because everybody else was kind of like, oh, y'all are so brave and it was so smart and it was this and that. And Wally was like, I see what you did. I'm a little disappointed in it, but I still love you. And that I think is like the right tone to set for that story, as opposed to everything y'all did was so smart and so amazing and so brave, because that's not true. But like, of course your father is going to see you in pain and love you and like comfort you. And they really played that like father-daughter relationship very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Wickford's scene with his brother, yeah, I mean, it was pretty powerful for him. I'm the cop, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing. And he cried, and it didn't pull on me in the same way as that scene that Brooklyn had with her dad. So but yeah, he's still great and fine, but yeah.
And he's still fine as hell. To Wally this time. Which Wally has been killing it. And that's hard for me to say. I mean, actually, I've always loved Wally, but my feelings about Ned, we all know them. I don't love Ned. But that's, probably has a lot to do with having loved Ned in the past and not loving the direction that they took his character in the last like decade or so. But yeah, Wally himself, he's been doing great. And I've loved his performances the last few weeks in particular. And I also really loved Asante Jones as Temp Taggart. I loved seeing him again. And it was like nice to have like I like how GH has been bringing back past temp casts.
Right.
Because a lot of these temp actors, especially in COVID, have actually had to hold really meaty material for the characters that they've been standing in for. So I just appreciate that continuity when we can't have like continuity otherwise. And I think there's something about the specificity of his performance, and as y'all have named, of it being really Black, and like what that also brings. Like there's something about, I think, in writing and acting and art, when we're really specific about our experiences and like authentic about them, even people who aren't from that culture, who don't totally get the joke or like don't totally get the reference, can feel the authenticity and can feel like what that also brings up for the other actors in the scene. Like it's a ripple effect, even if the remark isn't for you, right? Even if the reference goes over your head. So I really appreciated what he brought out in Sydney and what he brought out in Brooke as well. And I felt like y'all were married before. Like Brooke was just like, oh Lord, here he goes again. He's still doing this.
I can't believe we outed us.
Yes. And Sydney has this particular smile that I feel like really only comes up when she's in scenes with her parents, right? And I saw that come up with Asante. And so I was just like, I appreciated like, oh, these temp actors are also kind of part of the GH family as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have really like shown, like, even when I want to keep calling her Lindsay Hartley. I was obviously watched Passions. Like came and was like temporary Sam, and it was really hard for a lot of like Kelly Monaco fans, because she was like, Kelly really hadn't been on a lot, and so to have somebody who wasn't Kelly come and play like these Sam beats was hard. But she was so gracious and so sweet and so talented, like, because of where we are, like we have these really talented actors coming in. Mm-hmm. And I liked what you said about the cultural specificity. Ooh, can't talk today. Because we've talked about this, and like, even with like a movie like Encanto, right? Like that's not my culture, but I understand it to be like really culturally specific and appropriate and like rich in like a culture and a heritage. And so I can appreciate it more, even if I don't necessarily understand everything. Mm-hmm. So I think that's like a real lesson to General Hospital for this instance, but like media overall, that like you don't actually have to make someone a brown white person. You can actually have them be like a person within their culture, and that is like even more entertaining and more rich than what we were watching.
I'm gonna need any scenes with the Woos at home or with Terry at home. I better be seeing shoes coming off. That's all I have to say.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm thinking for Hollywood in general. I mean, there was a reason why the big budget movies like Black Panther did really well, because it spoke to our culture in a way that none of the other Marvel franchises did. And, you know, I'm sure the same with a lot of big budget movies around, you know, the API community, same thing. They just really spoke to that community. And so I don't know what it would take for Hollywood to understand that we need to have more movies like that, because we will go and watch them and we will support them. And the same thing with GH. I mean, we loved that tiny little bit of segment, but imagine if they actually put resources and energy towards really doing something like that on a consistent basis. Imagine the other viewers that they could be recruiting to this show.
Mm-hmm. Or the like respect they could be showing the current viewers. Because even when we talk about like there's very small, but we just talked about like watching Marry Me versus like, I think you watched Wedding Planner right after. And
right.
like Jennifer Lopez was like clearly Latina, like she spoke Spanish, like that was a part of that character. It wasn't like her being like, she didn't have to wear a shirt that says I'm Latina. It was like, this is like within the experience. And Wedding Planner was not. They had her playing Italian in Wedding Planner, and it was wild.
Right. It was wild. And they had that actor from Grey's Anatomy. His accent was so horrible. I was like,
Justin Chambers.
Chambers. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't. It was so bad. It was almost adorable, but it was very bad. So.
Yep, I remember. Yeah. So anyway, more culturally specific things. It tells better and richer story. We love it. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what do you want to see? Yeah, I guess we kind of even went into it a little bit, but Sandra, what do you want to see more of?
Ooh, what do I want to see more of? I want to see more of the vets in general, right? Like everyone that was at play. Like I loved, in particular, I mean, there's like the Felicia and Mac flashbacks, which like they're not necessarily like they're not my vet couple. Like I'm not like super invested in them necessarily as a couple, but it still felt so good to see the flashbacks and to see their relationship kind of not necessarily tested, but like there's some pressure put on it that wasn't the usual between them, which is, usually the Frisco triangulation. And just to also like see their love story kind of refeatured, because it just reminded me of, like when Kevin and Robert were roasting Mac after he wakes up from surgery. I love that. It reminded me also about like the old like the double wedding between Kevin and anyway. So I was about to go into a whole tangent about it, but I'm not going to. But it just brought back, it was such a kind of like seamless throwback. And I also just loved the proliferation of Anna. Like Anna was doing everything this week. And it just goes to show how easily you can really incorporate Anna into any storyline, and you should. And at the same time, I think the flip side of that is like, what about Anna's story? And like she had to push everyone else's story while also like catching flack from Carly. Woo! I was about to fight Caroline on Monday. It went away, but it's fine. Like Anna had to do so much, and I felt like she got read so much about Peter before. And so for her to have to go around cleaning up everyone's mess, I'll talk more about this in the less of, but that was the flip side. So I appreciated finally getting to see Vanna again, Valentine and Anna together, Valentine out of the trunk, finally, but only to find him in the garbage. Victor, we talked about this, but Victor had to make it seem like it wasn't him. I love the please call Anna Devane. And I will never not laugh about people referring to Valentine as Anna's friend. You want to call your friend instead of calling 911 first, obviously, when you get found in the trash. And obviously your friend is your always your point of contact when you're in the hospital, which you are all the time, apparently. And I also just loved like the unspoken communication between them about Victor that was happening, like the looks and the Valentine thanking Victor in a very telling sort of way. And so I appreciated there was so much that they can communicate to each other about next steps without even having to say a word because they know each other that well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I always make out with my friend on fucking New Year's for 25 minutes in the middle of a club. That's what friends do, right?
Friends are for.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about, it feels like a more and less, but I think a lot about like the understanding that we have in soaps, which is that our faves are gonna do like really unforgivable things, and then we will forgive them, right? So there's a boom and a bust. And so that goes with like baby swaps and paternity tests and affairs and murder, all of it. And so our faves are put through the ringer and they come out of the other side like redeemed, right? So you think about somebody like Valentine, we were just actually just rewatching this arc of him losing everything. So he like lied to Nina with the whole like, you know, Sasha's your daughter. They were gonna get remarried. Nina blew up the wedding. I loved it. Like he like moved, he had to move out of Windermere. Like he, you know, like he just was like down bad. And then they rebuilt him. So like that's how you make someone like Valentine somebody that we root for.
Yep.
But that they actually have to go through the fucking ringer. And it's the reason why Nixon Falls and the baby swap, which are like the biggest stories on the canvas right now, are like for me just don't hit, because like I want to see more consequences for behavior and for actions, and consequences that actually make sense. So this week to see people like praising Maxie and Brooklyn for this dumb ass plan, it just didn't hit for me. And I'm not saying they needed to be berated, right? Because like they were going through something, Weezy was missing, but like the praising of them as being like so genius was just like very manipulative. And so and I've talked about this before, but what we keep seeing with GH is like that they tell us how to feel about something instead of allowing a story to play out. And we saw that, and we're seeing that with Sona too. Like there's a reason that we haven't seen Chrissy's point of view in the Sona storyline, because Chrissy is like very off canvas, very neutral, like how she feel, like everybody wanted to know how she felt about Harmony. Nobody, you know, everybody wants to know how she felt about Nixon Falls. And Christina has always been a wild card, but there's no way she's gonna like Nina after that. She's gonna feel a way. But because Sona is like the story that's being pushed, we're not able to like get like the full gamut of reaction. And so Nina hasn't like faced any consequences. And so for me, you know, like that is just been really difficult to watch. Sunny being in the like chapel, like telling Nina she was brave for the baby swap, it was like my personal hell. I was like, this is a like intersection of the stories I hate the most, like coming together in the very worst of ways. It actually is not true. Like this is manipulative, and like it's and you know, storytelling always does that. You always write the story the way you want to like move the audience in the way that you want them to move, but this is like something different. Play the story out, write good story with consequences, with, you know, like real good like arcs and beats, and let people like fall where they may. But like the way they've been writing it now with like the lack of consequences for really wild ass behavior has not been good. Like soaps happen, like, you know, like there's like this whole thing like, oh, it's a soap, these things happen. Yes, but we still should like base it on how we like, if somebody kidnapped a baby, that is wrong. It is not automatically right because it happened in a soap, right? We should still have the same reaction that like kidnapping a baby is wrong. You know what I'm saying? And like, but they're like, I don't know. It's like this whole, well, it's a soap and it happens. Yes, and we should react to it the way we would react to it if in any other instance. So yeah, I just want to see more consequences. I've just been feeling really put off by that. And I will definitely talk more about the Sona like relationship later.
Oh, will you?
Yes, I will. I don't know if you know this about me, but I don't like it.
Well, even I
I was
it
like, first, I was like, where is the part where Tracy's gonna talk about? I was wondering, I was like, where is the part where she's gonna talk about what she wants to see more of? And then you got to the end and you're like, oh, more consequences. And I was like, got it. Because I was like, I'm just hearing a lot of less. I'm hearing
I said
less
consequences a
bullshit.
couple times.
Well, let me
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
What I like to see more of, I like seeing Charles Shaughnessy just be hecka messy, and we got a lot of mess this week. And I still want to see it. I mean, yes, I'm like, hello, you kidnapped Valentine, and I loved how like scandalized he was by being asked, are you implying that I kidnapped my own son? Like, yes, and you did. It was just like, it was hilarious how he did that. And then, so I love seeing him. I love him as a character. Great that he's there. I want to see more of Taggart. Hopefully, not to say real Andrews is great, but new Taggart. I want to see new Taggart confronting Spencer. I want to see him being a dad for Trina, because I think that would be hilarious, especially Spencer trying to impress him, maybe being cowed by him in some way that he's never been cowed by any other adult. I think it would be hilarious. That's what I want to see. I want to see him. And I know, Tracey, you're a Spencer apologist, but I want Taggart to be judging him hard and just being like, so you got a girlfriend. What you were terrorizing your dad? I mean, what the fuck? But dude, what's going on? And I want him to be so black about it. It's gonna be, I can't wait to see that. I hope to see that. And finally, I'm intrigued by Chet and Terry. One thing I want to note though is Chet's shirt was not teal. And so I'm hoping that maybe he wasn't the person that Terry was chatting with. Maybe he just happened to be at the bar and then they have a spontaneous romance. I think that would be cool. But maybe the color scheme just wasn't showing up on my TV, but his shirt wasn't teal. So I just had to make a note of that. But I'm still intrigued and I want to see more. I agree. That dress was super hot. So showing off them legs, it was awesome. I was like, it was pretty nice. So
I was like,
right?
I lost it.
Yeah, I mean, that was, for me, it was the same with, Olivia's, dress for the wedding. It was another slam dunk in the wardrobe department. I need them to share the wealth with the rest of the cast, but yes, it was awesome. So, yeah. So, what do we want to see less of? Unless you guys want to comment on what I said.
I just wanted to say Terry was like, looks teal enough to me.
I'm gonna say it's teal.
Like teal to me.
I feel you, Terry. She's like, okay. I want to see less of people going to Phyllis. Give Phyllis something else to do besides just white people coming to her. This was ridiculous. This woman, this is her first Valentine's Day without her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes Sunny and Nina with their foolishness. No more. I don't want to see it. I'm channeling my Tonya. I don't want to see it. No. That's it. Tonya. That's all I got.
I don't know about less of, but I would just say what moments I did not like. I did not like Maxie blaming Austin for the Peter kidnapping her baby. I mean, first of all, she put it as, because of your vendetta against Brooklyn, my child's in danger. I'm like, no, because Austin had every right to have a vendetta against Brooklyn. Brooklyn was horrible to him, and it had nothing to do with Wheezy. She was just horrible to him because of, her Quartermaine drama. And so to kind of link those together and have it be like his fault is rude, especially when he had no idea and she was lying to him the whole time. And the only reason why she didn't want him to have a vendetta against Brooklyn was because Brooklyn had the baby, and he did not know that. And so how are you just gonna blame him like that? I was just really put off by that. And so I hope they don't actually, like, when she finally comes back, I hope she's not still trying to blame him. And if she is, then fine. Let that be the reason why they can't be together, because he needs to be with Britta anyway. So
Amen.
but I didn't like it.
Yeah. Hated it. Hate it. My less of is Maxie being dumb as hell. And that was part of it. Kristen Storm's performance, never the issue. Kristen Storm's is Maxie. She is that. She knows how to channel that mess. She knows how to bring the humanity out in people. And I think there is something like, I think one of the most endearing things about Maxie's character is that because she has been traditionally such a mess, she's not a particularly judgmental character.
Right.
Like she really, like when Maxie kind of like forgives shit that I think is like pretty unforgivable, I can go there with her because I'm like, oh, because Maxie, you've done a lot of shit. And so I appreciated that about her. And that's like part of the reason why the Maxie and Austin thing was so weird. And I could see that a little bit, like her lashing out or whatever because she's upset, but I hope that it's not like, I actually just want Maxie and Austin to go ahead and get together and have them be the obstacle to Austin and Britt getting together, and Maxie and, forgive me for this, I know people are going to be mad about this, but Maxie and Spinelli back together, which is what I actually want. Not necessarily, I liked Spixie back in the day, and I also thought they were by the end super annoying and I was ready for them to be done, but there just has never been another pairing like them for Maxie that really took off. Like I know some people like Maxie and Nathan, and I thought they were fine, but they weren't special. And I do think Maxie and Spinelli had something special, and that chemistry is still there. If they must pair Maxie with someone, which I don't think is necessarily what is needed, but you know, it is a soap opera, so pairings are important. Like that's what I would prefer. And so if this actually kept Maxie and Austin apart, I would be that much more annoyed because it just means that there's going to be a build up to them getting together. And I don't want that. I just also can't deal with any more people calling anyone associated with the baby swap brilliant, brave, any of that. How about this? I can deal with some of that because I do think some of that is like a little, not the brilliant part, but the brave part, or like the understanding, like you were just doing what you needed to do to protect this baby. I get that reaction from some people, but it should not be the reaction to everyone. Like, I think with Fallout, right, as Tracey, you were talking about consequences, before I feel like consequences were kind of like spread out. So you would have a split. So like, there would be some people who would be like, what the fuck were you thinking? Also kind of like speaking for the audience or speaking for that point of view. And then you also had the characters who would be sympathetic, who would support the person who's like dealing with the fallout. And that's an important point of view as well. But what we're getting is this overly crafted, really actually pretty narrow point of view that's not honest to how characters would actually react. And so my only note before this morning, when I finally put my notes together for the show, the only note that I had written was Paxi Endgame. I was so sick of Maxie this week that I was like, all right, well, I guess you're just going to be with Peter now and y'all are going to ride off into the sunset because I'm done with you. And I don't want to feel that way about Maxie because it's not actually how I feel. It's not actually what I want for Kristen Storms either, to be clear. And that was my gut reaction when they went off together. I was like, well, you know, you could just stay gone for a while. That shouldn't be how I feel about Maxie getting kidnapped by Peter.
Well, why should you care more than Nina and Sam, I guess?
My God, that scene with Sam and Carly, I was like, hold up. Isn't Maxie like your bestie? I'm so confused here. Like, I know that she helped plan the Charlie wedding, and that was pretty shady of her. but she got kidnapped and you don't care?
And they've come together since then and like reaffirm their friendship. Because I mean, Spinelli was not shit to Sam either, if we're being real. I that is just part of the out of characterization and the not using people where they should be used. And like I think more so than a lot of people, the three of us are really generous when it comes to the show. I mean, sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but like we are generous when it comes to like understanding like budget and time constraints and things like that, and like offer out things that could have been small to make things better. Right. So Sandra, I think that you were talking, we were talking about this, and I was talking about this a little bit with Tara from Port Misery about like how like Sam's a PI. How is it that she wasn't working with Dante or whoever to like find Sam or find Maxie? It could have been something very small, like her at the Metro Court on a computer on her phone saying, "Thanks, Spinelli, I'll keep looking," or something. And then Carly comes by and Carly's like, "Oh, well, I know that you're looking for Maxie. I don't want to." And then Sam being like, "You know what? I would love another, like, you know, something else to think about. Why don't you tell me what's going on with you?" And it would have been simple. And it would have been like reminding us and like respecting Sam's PI roots. And it wouldn't have felt so weird. Because it was just like, "Oh yeah, I heard Maxie was missing, huh? Sucks to be her. So what you doing?" You know what I mean? Like it just was, it was just really bad.
Right. Especially when she was all up in Dante's business when she was trying to, like, Dante was doing another investigation and like they, you know, she was interfering in the investigation, going with him when they went to look for Drew and all this stuff. And so for her to not be involved in this another big case for him, which happens to involve her friend, is interesting.
But I guess she's just, you know, gonna be a talk to.
But again, in our being generous, I'm going to be generous now, not knowing what's going on behind the scenes with casting and you know, all of that. Maybe there's a reason why Sam's not involved this time. But
is it a good reason?
Is it a good reason? We don't know.
I'm sure there's a reason.
Yeah.
You're so nice. You're so much nicer than me, Tonya. But you're not even that nice.
No, I'm not. But and I love like people thinking I am. people think of that way of me in my job too. They're like, "Tanya's the nice one." I'm like, "Y'all don't know."
I know.
Tracey's like, "I know."
I think that there's also just something there about, and we talked about this a bunch, like, what is the thing that we're supposed to like internalize as being a part of someone's character versus like the thing, like, because, you know, or versus like something that a ball was dropped behind the scenes. Because like from what I saw with Sam, she looked a bad friend. There's absolutely no reason that Nina, Britt, Old Britt, and like Spinelli and Sam, like all of them should be held up in Max's apartment. Like trying to find her. Not Nina going to gossip to, and I love this scene. Ava and her expressions. When Ava is delighted by some mess, I am delighted by some mess because she is amazing. And there's also no reason that Nina should like be going to her when Maxie is missing. So do I consider that to be part of Nina's character, or is that just an oversight?
I think it goes, I think it goes back to what I was talking about, how they just kind of dropped that story to serve Valentine's Day. And I think that's not cool, because Maxie being kidnapped is a serious thing, and that's where everyone's energy should be focused on, regardless that Valentine's Day is happening. They should have had a conclusion to the kidnapping on Friday, because Valentine's Day is technically tomorrow. So they could have still had that story ongoing, and they could have, you know, started with Valentine's Day, on Monday. And oftentimes they even do Valentine's Day way later, in order to deal with sweeps. That's the thing. It's just they chose to just drop it and try to serve this commercial aspect of romance instead. And that's the judgment a lot of people have about Valentine's Day. It's just so commercial and it's not real. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jump in.
Oh, one, I think too, like there's so much about the Valentine's Day episodes that don't seem to be also like connected to the larger sweeps plot. Like they are a little bit, but it's like the timing feels very clunky and weird. And to do like the weird like Valentine's Day part 1, Valentine's Day part 2, when it looks like Valentine's Day is only going to be like Friday, like this past Friday and then upcoming Monday, and that's it. So I usually that kind of, part 1, part 2 to be continued on a soap means like some big giant sweeps of it. Usually,
right,
like a disaster, like the
like the hotel disaster,
hotel fire, or
right.
the Metro Court hostage or something like that. It just feels like a bunch of like Valentine's Day one shots in the middle of like multiple characters being kidnapped, hospitalized, lives being ruined, upturned, and then
let's go to Charlie's.
Let's go to Charlie's, which I was correct about, like Phyllis having some kind of like fucked up Valentine's Day display that was actually going to be depressing. But I was really wondering about why were there so many coronavirus spikes balloons. I just kept seeing all those spike balloons and I was like, that looks like a coronavirus spike. Like, what's going on here? We're really going all the way. Huh?
Please also say that we have moved into free for all hot takes. Keep talking.
Oh yeah, kind of. Sorry.
But we are no. Keep talking, keep hot taking. But that's where we are.
Thank you. Thank you for locating us. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Just call me Valentine because I can get located. or Victor, who loves to locate.
He does love to locate. Nobody locates quite like Victor. Can we talk about the chapel as Sona's spot? Because why is a chapel their spot? Like Sunny shouldn't be able to walk into a church without bursting into flames. I don't understand.
God's supposed to be forgiving as long as you own up to your mistakes.
Well, as long as you
repent, and he hasn't repented.
That's right. Because you know what? Sunny's Catholic, so I actually know all about that shit, and he has not confessed shit. He didn't even confess to Phyllis.
Yes, his confidant. Mm-hmm. That annoyed me a lot. Mm-hmm. 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 We're kind of
I will not forgive Sunny.
Like we're moving a little bit away from the chapel thing, but I just wanted to touch upon that. I'm like, how are you just going to tell her half the story? And the biggest part, she's like, no matter what happened tonight, dude, he said, yeah, I'll tell you what happened. She came and she left. No, you missed out the fact that, and I slept with Nina. And so that's why she's upset.
Hey, because now everybody knows that I like Carly. Like that is no secret. However, I also like mess more than I like Carly.
Yeah.
So when Carly was walking in,
that was hilarious.
When she had her hand on her heart and she was like walking like, oh my God, my babe, like, it's so good. And then she walked in, Sandra was so uncomfortable and I was delighted. I was like, do more violence. I was like, this is what I watch soaps for. It was such a mess. It was the hand on heart for me. You know what I'm saying?
It was all the flowers on the floor.
It was like, oh
my God. And that he didn't do actually, he had his daughter do.
I was watching a thread of scenes of where Carly walks in on Sunny. And every time he had the same look on his face. He's just like, oh. You know how he does this thing where he touches his face. And like he's like, I can't believe she's interrupting my time. And now she is again. I'm about to have this great sex with this woman, and she's just interrupting me.
Carly has a knack for interrupting Sunny mid-thrust. I mean, how dare she? She was late. What was he supposed to do? I mean, she was late.
What do you want? That was what do you want me to say? That was like the same vibe.
Yeah.
What do you want me to say?
Jason.
Oh, he was so but in that chapel scene, he at least admitted to Nina. He's not going to admit it to Carly, but he admitted to Nina that some of the stuff that he said to her was out of pocket.
He wouldn't even admit it to Phyllis.
He won't admit it to Phyllis.
I guess it's what happens. You get to, admit to your mistress.
Yeah,
I can't wait till Phyllis finds out. She's gonna be like, now listen. Now I said whatever happened, but you did not tell me that you were getting it in with Nina.
So okay, since we don't have a deep dive, let me deep dive into this. I don't even have any notes, so please stop me. I know it's a mess. So again,
you're like, give yourself a minute to collect your thoughts because you just got them all. You got them all ready to go.
Because I want to be fair, because I think that for me, it's a little bit of like back and forth between character and people, or like character and actor, which is that, I don't have a problem with people not liking somebody or like liking a scenario and calling it for what it is. So like, I loved when Lucky went off on Elizabeth, period. Because I like Lucky more than I like Elizabeth, even today. And so I can name that like it was slut shamey and some of the stuff he said was fucked up and all of that. And I still will say it is one of the best scenes that I've ever seen on General Hospital. And so like, I don't have a problem with people not liking Carly. I'm not that kind of fan. I know that I pick messy characters to like. So like, I love Sammy Brady from Days. I'm not going to run up on somebody's mentions like, how dare you not think Sammy is great? Like, no, she's a mess. I like her because she's a mess. So, but I think that like the anti-Carly whatever has like taken the story into a direction that the actors didn't really know it was going to go. So like Maurice Bernard is like consistently on Twitter, kind of like uplifting all of these people. And then people start making it like, oh, this is what Carson fans do. Let me go on 100% record. Sandra, please cut this as well. When you cut the videos, because Sandra's the person who cuts our videos. I am not a Carson fan. I could never. You know what I'm saying? I don't like trifling ass men in my ships. Thus and therefore, I am not, could never be, and will never be a Carson fan. I need that to be clipped on record, period. And Sunny is a fucking mess in this scenario and in this like storyline. And I think that like if Jason was still here, it wouldn't be as bad. But like, you actually have to not only dislike Carly, but dislike Carly enough to be okay with her being gaslit, to like think that there is any kind of balance in the storyline. Mm-hmm. It's just not written well. And so what was happening is that a bunch of people were like hyping up Sona. And then when this affair happened, because it's not written well, Maurice Bernard was like, what's going on? Now people are turning against us. And so like he's like uplifting people who have like 5 followers or who are just troll accounts and being like, well, I know that Carson fans feel da 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 da. And that's actually not reflective of like the Carson fan base. I mean, and again, that's not my people. I don't follow Carson stans. I don't know Carson stans like that. I have one Carson stan friend. You know what I mean? Like that's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that I've seen and I am watching Maurice Bernard like actually kind of make like exacerbate like a really bad situation for these actresses. So today I saw somebody be like, well, Laura Wright needs to step in because Cynthia Watros is getting like attacked. I'm like, how have y'all seen what people say about Laura Wright? There's a reason that Laura like stays on Instagram because Instagram doesn't foster the same kind of negativity that Twitter does.
Right.
And Maurice Bernard like actually like uplifting like the most toxic troll accounts and like coming at them and having people pile on them and making that like the example of like the fandom is actually does more to hurt the actresses than any of the storylines playing out. So it's just been like a little frustrating to watch. And I also just don't like when people be trying to play stupid and not keep it real. The fandom has been toxic to women in the name of men for a really long time.
Yes.
Period. It has just been toxic. And so when we have like said, you know, there's a reason that we don't like that Cujo shit, is because like when you call a woman a rabid dog, you actually aren't just talking about her character. You're like it bleeds over into personal shit. It bleeds over into like what people feel about like an actual actress. And so people who have like fostered really a lot of negative shit, like imagine being Eden McCoy, who's a teenager who like hops online to try to interact with fans and sees people calling her Mini Cujo. You're calling a like teenage girl a dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so now all of a sudden, now it's a big deal. And it's not just now. People should not come at Cynthia Watros that way. We have like uplifted Cynthia many times. When I defend Cynthia Watros on our Twitter account, I'm never like, and you know, I don't even fuck with Nina, but it's no but. It doesn't matter whether I fuck with Nina or not. People should not be coming to her like that. And this is not a new problem. This is a problem within the fandom because men have made a bunch of decisions and men exacerbated.
Well, you know how I feel. Mo's got to log off. I need Mo to log off really everything, but certainly Twitter. It's you know, if you don't have the self-restraint to not respond to everyone in your mentions that's coming at you sideways, I don't recommend being a public figure on Twitter because a lot of people are going to come at you sideways. I am not a public figure on Twitter. I have a small following. I still have people coming at me sideways. And you know what I do? I either post a succession gift in response, usually telling someone to fuck off, or I don't respond. And I think the part of it is like, as artists, at a certain point, you need to just let your performance speak for itself and let the writing speak for itself. And it doesn't mean like no interaction or no engagement. Like, I think it's really lovely the way that some actors engage with their fan base, but like arguing with your fans or trying to explain to them why they should like something that they don't like is not it. You shouldn't, it's that habit. We've talked about this pattern before with GH of the telling people why they should like something instead of doing it in a way that is compelling enough that people are going to like it. And there are some things that no matter how compelling you try to make them, people aren't going to like, and that's okay. There's such a thing also as just taking feedback and not responding to it. You don't have to respond to every piece of feedback. And the way that he also tries to justify some of Sonny's actions, I don't see a lot of this stuff because I don't follow Mo because he pisses me off and I have everything about the storyline muted, but you know, things still filter through. And some of the stuff that he says to justify Sunny, I'm just like, this actually makes me like you less as a person. That you are trying to justify your character's really fucked up actions in this way. So it actually like puts an even bigger taint on the performance for me. Because there's a way that if he wasn't providing his commentary, that I could remove myself and like there'd be some mystery about the point of view, right? Like maybe we're supposed to be angry at Sunny. Like maybe we're supposed to be seeing that he's being a hypocrite here. But when I hear from the portrayer, like him trying to justify, now it's one thing as an actor, you have to understand why your character does something, or you should. But that's not the same as believing they should. Like you can build empathy and also not justify everything that your character does. Like Nicholas Chavez, for example, like you can tell he believes what he's doing as Spencer, but he doesn't go around being like, I think it's really justified that, he's a little stalker. No, he has Tracey to do that for him. Yeah. So I think that's
it's okay. That beer didn't hurt nobody.
Sure. I mean, why did I bring that up? and scene.
I think
I don't know, Tonya, if you caught this, but yesterday Mo went live on Instagram. It was also very cute because his wife was there and she's adorable. And Vanessa Marcel was like in the comments and they were like trying to figure out how to bring her on and they couldn't figure it out. It was very funny. And then he was just like, I'm not gonna keep begging Vanessa like Sunny's been begging Carly. I was like, oh, you think that you're that Sunny is justified? And like I said, I think, when I look at the story, they have gotten a lot of hype. It's been a lot of like agenda shipping done for Sona, and like, to also be clear, Cynthia has put in amazing performance, right? Like she has been really great. Part of the reason Nina would not annoy me this much if Cynthia wasn't so good. So I never want to take away from her performance. And she hasn't faced consequences, or like Nina has not faced consequences. And for me, when I look at the story, I don't see Carly in the wrong. And now you're talking to somebody who's both a Carly fan and a Sam fan. And I used to love it when Sam and Carly got into it, because Carly was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not that I'm not the kind of fan who can't see like when somebody I like is in the wrong. I don't see that. And so people were kind of like, oh, when this was feelings and everybody was having feelings, but nothing happened, this was like a different kind of vibe. And so Mo had like these people who were hyping him up. And then when they had him cheat, which also happened on a soap, especially on a soap, but then like the gaslighting and the like conversation afterwards, if you look at like the Instagram comments, they were not on anybody's side. They were not on Sunny's side. It was like kind of toxic in Instagram comments, to be honest. But it was like toxic against Sona and really unfortunate. And it was actually the kind of stuff that Laura and Carly have been getting for a while. And so then all of a sudden they had to do this like PSA, like, look at us, we're friends, let's hug, let's like show everybody we like each other. And it turns out, male writers, that you can't have a guy like lie to his wife and then gaslight her afterwards and have people still be into the storyline in the same way. And the writing for Nina hasn't been good either. Like even I can't imagine being a fan of Nina or a fan of Sona and enjoying Nina just popping up looking like a stalker every time she sees Sunny. That's not what I would want for my ship. I ship the finest. I ship Vanna. I ship Sprina. I couldn't relate. But
after your couple's first like time sleeping together, like
in the bed he made for his wife.
in the bed. Yeah, that, and then like her just being like left there to like, you know, give herself a hoe bath and sneak out. Like it was not romantic. I don't know about y'all, but I didn't think it was very romantic. And I would not want that for my couple. I mean, my couples would never, but
I will say that I was like, did she like give herself a hoe bath and then sneak out one of like the little circular windows to like hop on the, like, how did she get out? Because they were on the like dock. Anyway. But yeah, like it turns out like that just actually isn't like a good look. And it is not like the ways that people want to like see a couple built. And the reason that Carson has been, to a lot of our annoyance, such a cornerstone is because Carly and Sonny are on so much. And it's really a lot about like making Sonny the moral center of a show when he has no morality. So they write him in a way that doesn't make sense, that like everybody loves him. That shit doesn't make sense.
So I haven't necessarily been like watching all of the comments on social media. One thought I had in my mind was, I think Maurice Bernard being on social media so much and interacting with the fans, part of me feels it's because he feels it's something he has to do to kind of promote his new social media presence, which is the state of mind thing. Like he's constantly promoting that. And I kind of feel, and this is me being kind of ageist a little bit, but I think like sometimes people get on social media and then they interact in ways that they shouldn't, is because they don't know better. Right. So like when you were talking about lift or responding to people who have like like 5 followers or whatever, it kind of reminded me of someone who I used to work with who felt like he needed to respond to people that had little bit of followers. I'm like, first of all, that could be a troll. So let's slow down. Right. And you know, you don't need to respond to that, or you don't need to respond to all the criticism. And I'm thinking he feels he has to do that. Maybe it could be a little bit more calculating, but maybe he's like, he's trying to start giving, you know, himself being part of the social media trend and trying to do, you know, be online more and all this other stuff. And he's just not doing it right. Like he doesn't have a comms person advising him, or he doesn't have, you know, so maybe it's a little bit of that. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, because I don't think any of the other actors, like Nancy Legrand, she responds to everybody too in a weird way, but she has a political agenda. And so she's doing it not because she wants to talk about her characters, because she's talking about everything. And then so Laura Wright's maybe social media presence is different because she's wanting to interact with fans, but she's not trying to do Twitter because they're mean to her, which is fine. There's certain social media platforms that you should and you shouldn't do things on. And apparently Maurice is not learning the lesson that he needs to be learning. So, and so maybe he should, if you're watching Maurice, you know, maybe, you know, consult with the comms person and so you can understand, you know, like maybe you shouldn't necessarily be interacting with GH fans. If you want to promote MB State of Mind, just promote MB State of Mind. Talk about that. You don't talk about your character, because then I also think that makes your performance less if we already are getting into an insight to how you're thinking about the character. And it makes me think, like, I'm not thinking that your performance is as profound as it could be, because you're telling everything.
Yes.
So I'm just like, okay, so that's not less of a performance. A performance is more of, this is you putting yourself into the character and not so much an acting thing. But it also made me think about how Nicholas Chavez interacts with fans and how everyone loves it. Everyone loves everything he does. And he's like, how he's like the captain of Sprina, right? And it's not because he talks about Sprina all the time on social media. It's his actions that show it, right? So he takes pictures with, Sydney all the time, or he does interviews and he says stuff. And, it's just his actions show more of a support of a couple than him going on Twitter and arguing with folks. That's not working. And I'm thinking again, it's because he's probably a little bit more social media savvy than Maurice is. Even if he's more new to it, he's still a little bit more savvy on how to, work the fan. So I don't know. These are just the thoughts that came into my mind as you guys were talking. I didn't really, do an analysis on it, but that's what I was thinking.
Look at that. That was an analysis right there.
And I agree. And I think that it's, people have done like really crazy shit. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have the right to defend himself. And I don't think any of us are saying that. Like, there have been people who've been like, you must like cheating on your wife, like little like crazy shit about him as a person. That
you don't respond to stuff like that. You just like, okay, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm saying that he has a right to defend himself and if he wants to respond. But it's also like the people who are tweeting him in the same way that we're like, I just feel like it's grannies whose grandbabies got them on Twitter. Like, come on, baby, put Nana on the tweet. I'm gonna tweet him. Like, that's how I feel like a lot of the like fan base who was like so like stuck on Carson and stuck on like whatever has been. Mm-hmm. And you got to remember, like, Mo has been beloved for a really long time. And so for him to like have a story where he is not beloved is probably really difficult, right? Like, it doesn't work the same. Your charm and dimples don't work in 2022 the same way they worked in 1994, right? Because like we have changed in the same ways that like when Luke died, people was like, peace out because I ain't fucking with Luke, no way. That would have never happened in the 80s or 90s because people still loved Luke.
But I also think it's changed because I think people might not have loved Sonny as much as, he felt he was loved, but because there wasn't social media, there wasn't constant interaction. There could be people that were criticizing him left and right when he was with Brenda, but all he saw was the fan letters.
That's me.
Right.
I was hating Sonny.
That's right. I mean, he may have gotten a couple of, hate fan letters, but it's not the same as it was, as it is now, like where it's like constantly we're like, oh, I don't like this direction, or I don't like what he said here, or I don't like what he said. I mean, you'd have to be really hating on a couple to sit down and write a letter about it.
Exactly.
But to go on Twitter and just really quick and be like, Sonny's horrible. It doesn't take that much. And so he's now seeing criticism for his character in ways that he probably never had before, and he's not knowing how to deal with it.
Yeah, you had to be so much more motivated to pass feedback along, and it wasn't like now it's like you can just be a casual viewer or haven't watched in years, or maybe you don't even watch the show and you're like, you know what, I don't like this guy. But I will say, Mo, I know you're not watching this because we've criticized you so much you would have blocked us by now. But if you are, stick to Buddy the Goat. Stick to Buddy the Goat. Just play with your goat. Like, I always liked that when I only followed you on Instagram. It very much endeared me to you. But what you're doing now, I don't think it's working for anyone, including you. Get some rest, put the phone down, do some meditation. I don't know, go to a sound bath. I don't know what it is, but this is not getting you, I think, where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think going into like the storyline and what I've like seen from it is that, again, and I alluded to this, I think it would have been different if Jason was still around. Right? Because then you would have had like Carly looking at him or pining for him in a way where he was there and they were sticking, whatever. But I also feel like, unfortunately for Laura Wright, Steve Burton, when they finally did Charlie, was phoning it in. He was unvaxxed and uncaring. right? So like they didn't put in good performances. I didn't really see the chemistry that people saw. I felt like there were times when I would see like Laura Wright talking to like the back of his head, and there was more chemistry in that than when they showed them talking together, because she was putting in a performance and he wasn't. And then now it is very clear from everything Maurice Bernard says that he doesn't want Carson. He wants Sona, which is fine. Like people should be able to want the pairings they want. Like that's not a critique, but it also means that she has not had a scene partner who's actually wanted like a relationship with her to work.
Which is why those crew scenes popped so much.
Which is why I am announcing myself as a crew fan. Crew, you ask, who is that? That is Carly and Drew. I love it. I love it. Now, let me back up and say, if Billy Miller would have come back as Drew, I would probably be at the GH studios, like, put him with Sam right now. I love you, Dante. You're my bite-sized snack. I can be a walk-on and we can be together on the show. But Drew, is going back with my girl, Samantha.
Yes.
However, this is not Drew. This is Ryan Lavery.
Not even. Because we watched some Ryan Lavery scenes to prepare for the Anna space.
That's right.
And actually, if Cameron Matheson would play Drew as just Ryan Lavery, he would be closer to Drew than what he's doing now, which is absolutely nothing except for these scenes with Laura Wright.
Because let me tell you something. Let me tell you who wanted to be in a scene with Laura Wright was Cameron Matheson. Okay. Okay. And so I liked it. I actually liked the maturity of Carly being like, this ain't right. Because for me, it made me think like, I thought it was just going to be like some trifling shit where like, they were just going to get together, hook up, whatever. But I think they're still like trying to scramble behind the scenes and see what happens. But yeah, I was like, oh, I see what's happening here and I like it. But I actually liked Carly and I liked those two actors together since they did the What If crossovers, where it was like Drew Lavery, Ryan Lavery and Carly Corinthos Jax in an elevator together. They were like hot together then. And when they were like outside, so like after Carly was like, nah, I'm good, like let's not do this, like I'm hurting over Sonny, you're hurting over Sam, let's just not. When she was leaving, Carly did not want to go. I said, because it wasn't even like the near kiss that got me, it was the lingering afterwards. I was like, oh, I like it. And I think that for me, I just, me personally, whether it's a woman I care for or not on a show, I just never want to see a woman like being gaslit by a trifling trash man. That's actually not what I like tune into like my TV shows to watch. And so that is why like the Sunny stuff just felt so unforgivable to me. Like you're pining for Jason's ghost. Like she found you in bed with somebody else and you talking about everything but her finding you in bed with her. And if it was that easy for you to fall in bed with her, then Carly was actually right to want space. You've actually never respected anything that she said. And again, this is a soap, so I enjoyed what happened. But like the way I look at it is what should have happened and how far away from it did that happen. So like if Sonny wanted to be with Carly, he should have left his mistress alone. He should have respected her wishes. He should have tried to get some couples therapy. That's not soapy. Of course, it's not going to happen, but we should watch it from the frame of that is what a man who wants to be with his wife does. Not have his daughter come do some over the top decorating on a boat and then fuck your mistress when your wife doesn't show up. Anyway, I'm a crew fan.
Ooh. I am not a crew fan.
Here are my Carly, I choose me earrings. I did order a pair.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. I'm not a crew fan, but I am a fan of I Choose Myself. I will always support and root for any woman saying that in a breakup. I choose myself. I ship it. I ship women choosing themselves over fuck shit men. So I really love that moment. And I also appreciated I don't mind crew. I think it's funny, honestly. Like I'm kind of just I don't know. I wouldn't even say I'm going as far as agenda shipping it, but I am like entertained by it. And I appreciate the chemistry between Cameron Matheson and Laura Wright because it took me back to when they did that little one shot, the what if one shot, and how fun actually like Carly's energy was at that time, at the Carjacks time, and how kind of like cute and rom-commy it was, and like that's actually like a Carly that I like, and it's also the sweet spot for Cameron Matheson as well. Like let's focus that game show talk show host energy into something like light and fun, since we're obviously not going to play the dark layers of Drew in this characterization. And again, as you've already said, this isn't Drew to me, so whatever.
Also, shout out to Sante. Ugh.
Love it.
I love yous between them. The they just are so sweet together, and they also are like a kind of like storyline fanficky characterization that came together because we saw like the kind of flashbacks of like what if they were together. They've always had like a little bit of Kim, but they were never put together. I saw some videos of when Jake was hit by a car and Sam thought it might have been her. And so she went to like the police station, and Dante was like very calm with her and very sweet. And they weren't even playing like being together, but they just had like a very oh, I respect you, I like you energy. And so I love a couple that's earned over time, and I really feel that for Sante, and I really enjoy them.
Yeah. They're I continue to feel like hesitation about giving them my whole heart, but I'm still trying anyway. I'm just trying to be present for the moment. But I love Kelly and Dom's chemistry, and I think that the characters could be really good together if the show gives them the material to do so. But I am definitely not complaining about the amount of screen time that Dom's been getting. I appreciate Dante being all up in the story, appreciating them having to take his shirt off during the accident. You know, it was very important, life-saving. It saved people's lives. You know, that's really important.
Got to take a shirt off for that head injury. And I know you liked it, Tonya. We have well-documented Dom/Dante thirst from this podcast.
Yes.
We're doing hot takes. I kind of had like some day-by-day hot takes that I kind of want to share. So
Please.
I didn't write anything down for Monday. Tuesday, I wrote, and this is, I guess, to talk a little bit. I had a thought about sweeps, but on Tuesday, I wrote, "It's a miracle, Mac's alive," because they had built up his supposed, getting shot, and he was only in the, recovery or coma or whatever they usually do when someone gets shot for like a day. It was very short, but it was also very predictable. So when he woke up, I was just like, oh my God, And so I was just like, so then I was thinking, and then so today where we're talking about sweeps, I was like, oh, that's another sweeps plot message that they were trying to bring off that didn't really happen. Cause I was just like, oh, Mac just got shot and he'll wake up and he'll be fine. But it is made to me that they were trying to make it a thing with the whole memories flashback and Felicia crying and being like, don't make a liar out of me. And, that kind of thing. It was like, oh, that's a sweeps trope that they were trying to do. And it just didn't come off that well. And it's sad because Mac and Felicia are vets, and so they deserve a juicy story. Instead, they chose the easy Mac gets shot and now everyone's crying at his deathbed thing and he didn't die. And so it was like, okay, whatever. So,
you really just said you all really thought you were doing something there, didn't you?
No, I was just like, so that was my hot take on that. I also kind of felt like they were doing a little bit of time machine thing where Peter, goes from kidnapping Charlotte to Victor in nanoseconds. And all the time, all Tuesday, I was like, where is Wheezy? Like, did he just leave her in the car while he was going kidnapping and plotting and doing all this stuff? Like, what? I mean, you're supposed to be this responsible dad and you just leaving Wheezy anywhere. So, yeah.
Wait, did you remember the gif of Wheezy like pulling her hat over her head?
Right, yeah.
Like, this baby, keep her, no notes. We love it.
Performer of the week, actually.
Right, performer, great. I also had a question. So at the end, I was like wondering, I mean, did Peter tell Victor about Drew? Because remember, yes. Victor was doing all of this stuff and it sounded like, Drew said, Peter was like, okay, so you got everything you wanted to call off your goon. So apparently Victor has the information now about Drew that he needed. So
yeah, it was very blink if you missed it, but yeah, he does.
Right. So I was just like, okay, so then I wrote on Wednesday, I wrote the word chocolate. I don't know why. I'm like, chocolate. I don't understand. But anyway, I wrote it down. If you guys can think about it, I don't know. Thursday, I wrote, oh, shout out to GH for highlighting the abandoned baby program. And then I was like, wish that they would have highlighted the don't mix opiates with whiskey lesson, but bygones. Again, I wrote Maxie humanizes Peter because he forgot all of his plans about making Maxie pay for her deviousness. And then he's now willing to give up Wheezy. So, shout out to Maxie. And again, I was just cracking up over Victor and are you implying that I would kidnap my son? And then laughing at Valentine for not falling for those shenanigans. And I was just super happy that Valentine's back because yes. On Friday, again, I was upset. Where is Wheezy? Like, how are they just going to drop off that story that she was found at the fire station and then that's it? Like, where does she go? Is she with, Chase in Brooklyn now? Is she with her grandparents? Where is she? How are they just going to let that drop? So I was upset. New Taggart, yes. I was annoyed with Sonny and his, his view on what's happening with Carly around the divorce, because what really annoyed me was this line where she's calling the shots and I ain't having it. I was like, sir, you messed up. You cheated on her. If she wants a divorce, I ain't surprised, and you shouldn't be either. Hello. And if she's calling the shots, then she needs to, because you were wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah, her and Kiki on Kiki's deathbed.
That I did not remember, but thank you for pointing that out. I wrote, Trina looks so cute and pink. Terry looked hot in blue. Ooh. Finn, why couldn't you have gotten Elizabeth a card? He's the least romantic man I've ever seen in my life. Now I understand if he didn't want to just jump in on the anniversary, but just a little thing, just a little hint. I don't know. The dinner, I guess. She invited him to dinner. Is this what we got to look forward to as far as Finn being a romantic lead? Is him not being romantic at all? I don't know.
Yes.
And yeah, again, Sonny wasn't being honest with Phyllis. That annoyed me. And and here goes Nina, and I'm not gonna go seek out Sonny, but then goes running to the place where she's most likely to run into him accidentally.
Oops. On that Valentine and Victor note, what that reminded me of was when was at the Windermere party, whatever Spencer was about to like confess about and like get caught for stalking Ava, and then like the news about the car comes in and you just see the wheels in his mind start turning, and he like is like, how dare you, father? I do such a horrible thing. So I was like, okay, asinine family trait, I see you. The difference was Victor, you're trying to play Valentine and he's actually smart.
Right.
Spencer, you definitely had the upper hand in terms of intelligence for that, with your alleged father.
Allegedly.
So I loved that connection. I'm always trying to be like, make those Cassadine family connections. I also we have to name, Maura West does not fuck around when it comes to Ava's point of view. Like, it doesn't matter how little like real indication of point of view that there is in the script for Ava. Maura West is always going to just bring it home. Like, it's not if there is ever a question about how Ava thinks or feels about something, it's because Maura has intentionally made it opaque. Right? Like, I think about that scene between her and Esme, where Esme is like apologizing to her. And it's not until the very end that you see that Ava is like, I'm onto you, bitch. But she's very intentionally like opaque through that entire scene, where you're just like, what are you thinking?
Like, I'm waiting for you to go.
I'm waiting for you to move your eyes, like give me any indication. And she does it without, it still feels natural, but you're like, what? So I loved the scene with her and Nina, because it just felt, even though it had almost nothing actually to do with Ava herself, it felt so Ava. I was so clear, like, this is exactly how Ava would react. The voices that she used, like the gestures, the excitement, like the way that she was just relishing every moment of it. Maura, always.
And it made me like look forward to when Ava sees Carly and Sonny next, because I just can't wait for her reaction, And like I said before, I love Ava Carly fights way more than Nina Carly fights, because Ava just brings it and just does not give any damns. And I love it. And Maura looked fabulous. Now, she always looked fabulous. She looked really fabulous in her, I'm about to get it on with my husband outfit. I mean, it was, she was amazing.
She's so good. I mean, I like Ava Carly stuff because I like both Ava and Carly. And I also am like, is my girl scheming? Because what I really want Ava to do is like use this information to get Avery back. Yeah. There's actually no reason that she shouldn't have Avery. And I'm interested because I also think that Ava has more of a reason to dislike Sonny than she has to dislike Carly. And so I have not been like a fan. Like, I want for it to like come back that Ava is using this situation to her advantage. Like, I love her thinking it's messy, but I don't love it being like, oh, she's a fan of Nina and Sonny because like they're a good couple. I think that she's a fan of Nina and Sonny because she doesn't fuck with Carly, as she shouldn't. And that this is like a opportunity and a door opening for her to get her child back. I would hate for that to be like dropped out of that situation.
Yeah. No, yeah. I definitely feel like that's the direction that they should and I think are going in. And I do think that there is something about the way that Ava is holds friendships and like the relationships that her friends are in that's like a little different from how anyone else kind of does it. Like she doesn't really bring necessarily a lot of her own feelings about someone into it. Like there's a little bit with Valentine and Nina where she's obviously was like, fuck you, Valentine. Like I want her with Jax. But like there is like, it's both. Like she both is like, what's in it for me? And also I can take myself out of it and see where like, I actually just want my friend to have what she wants, not necessarily what she needs, but what she wants. Because I think Ava's always, she's not going to give like the emotionally sound advice.
Right.
Like she's even done that with Trina, right? Where she's given her like the messy aunt advice of like, you know what, girl, just go live your life. Go be with that messy boy. I know he stalked me, but whatever. So I will
allegedly.
I will stand in this characterization of Ava agenda shipping Soda, but it's a yes and. I think she both supports them as a friend to Nina, not to Sunny, but to Nina, and obviously bitch is trying to get her kid back.
And she's just enjoying.
It was some light stalking, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody was really in danger. I just want to say
anyways, also I think she's just enjoying the drama between Carly and Sunny. I think she's just really, because the look on her face when she was like, when Nina was like, oh, and I slept with Sunny, she was like, ooh, how was it? You know, she was like, she was enjoying that mess. And I love that too. I love that.
Like we've both had sad sex with Sunny. How was yours?
In Tombs.
In Tombs.
It was really funny. Like once somebody on Twitter was just like feeling how, maybe it was you, Tracey. Someone was commenting how Carly ran to Sam, who had also slept with Sunny. And I was like, but Nina did the same thing. I mean, she ran to Ava and Ava slept with Sunny. It's just like Sunny slept with everybody. And so it's just like
talking to Sunny hasn't slept with.
Right. Yeah, that's a very short list.
Because Olivia is actually her friend and Sunny slept with her too. So I mean, like,
who can you turn to?
Out of a certain age range, it's not, there's not a lot of choices. What, you gotta go talk to Alexis? Oh,
nope. For her too.
Yeah.
Yikes. God damn. God damn. I was also gonna say that like the Sam Carly scene really reminded me how mad I was, and this is also goes to like the gaslighting of the audience a little bit, or like the manipulation of the audience a little bit, when they tried to make Charlie like this love story, where like what they could have just said, and what would have been more appealing for me at least, was people like understanding like, oh yeah, this shit is probably for, you know, whatever, and then people like notice it, like, oh, maybe there is more there than business. There's no reason that they shouldn't have set Sam down to talk to her and be like, look, this is going to impact you. Sam could have still been mad, she could have still played those beats, but now it looks stupid that Carly and Sam are like confiding in each other, or really Carly is confiding in Sam, because like y'all have beef over Jason and you never resolved it. It's never been discussed, it's never been dropped, it's never been talked about. Carly just was about to marry Jason and didn't include Sam, and didn't, like, they had become friends. This is actually not how you treat your friends. And so like I really enjoyed the scenes that were a result of them finding out. Mm-hmm. But even Michael like kind of casually saying it, like, so when Sam and Liz found out, Michael had just like casually dropped it, and then they like ran out, and Michael was like looking. Michael, Sam has saved your life countless times. Okay, like you should have like there's a relationship there too, and I appreciated the like relationship between Elizabeth and Sam. What I love the most about that is that Sam was just like, or not Sam, but Elizabeth was just like, I mean, fuck them. It was like probably one of the most time, like the most I've liked Elizabeth. She was just like, let's just drink. I'm like, why can't this be Liz? Like, like all the time. Maybe one of her ulcers will be that. But yeah, it's just like another example of like dropping really important stuff that is not difficult to talk about. Putting back my Spencer apologist hat on for a second. As always, it's never off. It's never off. It's never off. I probably am gonna make some free Spencer shirts. Anyway, not important. Sonny couldn't even go to the going away party of my child, but he's banging the person who's like cut Avery out of her mom. What you doing, Sonny? It's just, these are like the things that I'm like, are these things that we should like consider as part of people's characterizations, or are they just lazy writing? The fact that Charlotte called Nina, so like we've heard Valentine say, Nina, you haven't really been around for Charlotte. Then we have Charlotte call Nina and like Nina not give a fuck. She was like, oh, well, you call Anna. Well, you know what, never mind, I'll talk to Anna and then I'll call you back. And in that interim, Charlotte was like kidnapped and returned, and Nina hasn't mentioned Charlotte since then. So I don't know if it was like the writer's way of just like putting the final nail in Valentina, which I mean, obviously with Valentine, with Anna, that nail's already been hit. But it's just, I'm like, should we be considering this part of like Nina's characterization, or was it just lazy? And I don't know.
We're always going to be on our own on that, because I mean, my thing is, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
Whether it's lazy writing or not, it happens. It happens. Whether the writers acknowledge it or not, it happened. And so for that reason, continue not to fuck with Nina.
I mean, I didn't need any excuses. But Deidre Hall from Days of Our Lives, Dr. Marlena Evans, did also say that in an interview. Like they were like talking with her about her character, and they were like, has there ever been something that the writers felt like, that you've done that has been like out of character? And she was like, well, if my character did it, it's not out of character. And I was like, damn. Because like I feel like even for some of my faves, I've made that excuse, like, oh, well, this was really bad writing, or this was out of character. And it's right. Like, I mean, who amongst us has not acted out of character?
Sure. Yeah.
And so I just like, that has like really made me start looking at things differently.
Yeah, I think something can feel out of character, and we can hold the cognitive dissonance, and the character did it, so we have to take it into account. And that is also part of the job of the actor, is to make that, to bridge between the writing and like their characterization. And I think that's also part of being a soap actor too, is like you have to be tracking things that maybe the writers aren't always tracking, because they're tracking so many different characters, and like your character is yours to keep track of. And so I think that's like that's going to differentiate like a James Patrick Stewart and like a Maura West from like a Josh Swickard, right? Or like not to say that Josh isn't a good actor, but like people who have been in the game a long time, who are very rigorous, and who we can shout out as doing making these really big intentional character choices that aren't always in the script. Like, we know, when has James Patrick Stewart ever dropped the ball on the characterization of his feelings towards Anna? Never. Ever in over the many years he's been on the show.
Like, hey, JPS, your character once like had a thing for Anna. He was like, say less. I got it.
She's the love of my life. We're going with it, right? And that's part of like what made Vanna, right, plausible and possible. And that wasn't he was given some of that, and he also made lots of choices. And when a show moves as quickly as this show does, like in the end, like as a soap opera actor, like you are just responsible for the through line, and you're hopefully the writers are also reacting to what you're putting on the table as well. And so that's why I think, yes, we'll like the writers need to be accountable. And that's why I always love to shout out these actors who go above and beyond to make it make sense when it doesn't always make sense. And with that, do we want to talk about, are we ready to transition to predictions?
I have one more petty thing to say, and then yes, I will be ready. So I like see this thing going around that's like, oh, well, this works for this character because this person who played this character before will be different, but now like this recast. So like the recast of like Nina, for example, like this is what this Nina would have done versus this is what this other Nina would do. And I'm like, interesting, because every time I talk about Carly, y'all want to bring up Tony Jones to me. And that was 3 Carlys ago. I just want to be petty and add that. I also want to say, you know, if that's what we doing, then Greg Vaughn's lucky, ain't JJ's lucky. So we can go ahead. I just want to be petty for that for a second.
Got it. I feel you. And also, I feel like I do the same thing. I definitely am like, oh, that was Greg Vaughn's lucky. That's not Jonathan Jackson. It's like when we've brought this up a million times, but with the Niz affair, I was rooting for it when it was Greg Vaughn that was being cuckolded. But when it was Jonathan Jackson, I was like, how could you do this to Lucky?
Right.
Supposed to be L&L too. How dare you?
Right. Even though I had sworn off L&L 2 for all time, I still was like,
Get it?
so I'm a hypocrite, but I know that I'm a hypocrite. That's the difference.
Same.
So, what's gonna go on this week and beyond? As usual, or as has become usual in the last few weeks, I'm gonna share some topical spoilers for the week, and then ask for your reactions, predictions, wild speculation, or just shit talking if you don't have any of the above. So I think because we talked about Valentine's Day being kind of detached from the rest of the story, I'm just going to offer the Valentine's Day spoilers, and we're going to start there. And then we'll talk about baby swap, Carsona, et cetera, the rest of the storylines. Valentine's Day. This is a combination of the episode preview and like the promo. Terry's date doesn't go as expected. When TJ is making a romantic gesture for Molly, and we also saw in the preview, she may be coming home sooner than expected. I'm assuming that's about Jordan. Ava and Nicholas celebrate Valentine's Day. What could go wrong? Felix hears the latest from Carly. Hey, Felix, what's up? And makes a decision. Spencer gets a surprise, and we also see him in the preview saying to Esme, "Happy Valentine's Day to me." Notice the smile did not quite meet his eyes. We saw Kevin and Laura, and Kevin saying, "Good things come to those who wait." He must have overseen that little Victor Lauren exchange and was like, "I got some ideas." Brad and Britt are at the Savoy, and Brad saying, "Let's make the risk worth it." And then we finally see Sona and Nina saying, "We both know I have a vested interest," because I guess that was supposed to be the cliffhanger from Friday. Sonny and Nina run into each other at Charlie's? My God, who would have thought?
Our original.
So what do y'all think? What do y'all think is going to happen? What do you want to happen?
Well,
I want Esme to try to do something for Spencer, and I don't want him to be less than enthusiastic about it.
I think I know that
It's like it's about to happen.
Yeah. There was actually some like soap opera digest, more detailed spoilers on that dynamic where like, yes, basically what you forecasted, like she's going to try and like do some Valentine's Day shit, and he's just gonna be like, well, what about Joss Cam and Trina? And like we'll be getting a peek into their Spring Ridge dynamic. I wish that the surprise was not Esme, because it doesn't feel like it should be a surprise that she'd be there on, his girlfriend on Valentine's Day and she works there. I'm putting on my clown makeup. I just want it to be like even a crumb of Sprina in this surprise.
Yeah,
That's what I want.
Yeah, we want Trina to go and visit.
Want Trina to come, or Trina to send a note, even Trina sending a little note, even like not even any hearts on it. I would just.
Is he allowed to have a cell phone? Like maybe she can send him a text and be like,
I don't think he's allowed to have a cell phone. I would like for Trina to send my child some hair products because he's looking rough.
Leave him alone.
I would love like a whole little jail spa setup. Our boy's down bad. He looks very sad.
He does kind of look.
Our prince is like, I don't understand what's happening here. Even at Grandma Alora's, I don't have to use like Suave. Like I'm not really clear about these like jail products. So I would love for Trina to like send him some product to be like, I know you're a prince. Here you go. That's
Y'all really like Nicholas Chavez.
I like Nicholas Chavez messy hair. Like he definitely has like a certain hairstyle when it comes to playing Spencer. Mm-hmm. And then when he's Nicholas, like his hair, he doesn't have the part thing going. He's just let it all out. And I love that. I think that's cute. But
well, my child is not looking lustrous. His skin is a little dull. He just looks down bad. So I would love for Trina to send him just a product basket with a heart to be like, here you are.
He's going to, rich person jail. He's not supposed to look put together.
Well, and you know how he is when he gets separated from Trina for too long, he does start to look physically ill. At his going away party, he was like, he looked crazy. And then as soon as he walks through the door of the gallery,
he's like, oh my God, swoon. Like
blowing hair out of place, or like if a hair is out of place, it's very intentional. That one little, I see that.
Hair out of place. That's
hair out of place.
BD energy up 100%. Just
it's true. It's true. Tracey is scandalized.
I don't talk about my child like that. Sorry. I just can't get over that tweet. It was just everything.
He does his thing. I would also like I would like for Terry's date to go very well. Like what I would like for the spoilers to be is just that wasn't supposed to be the guy, but that guy, but Chet wasn't supposed to be the guy, but they hit it off anyway. That's what I want. That
right. Chet's a little cutie.
He is.
I always thought Chet was a little cutie. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people were like, why now? Like, why Chet? Why Amy? I don't know, y'all. Don't ask too many questions. It makes the viewing experience better. But I am also hoping that the date goes well, and that I'm pretty sure that's not who she's supposed to be on the date with. I do it would be interesting to know who it was supposed to be, and if that was also someone that we knew. That could be kind of fun. But what if there was like a Terry? We thought we were getting a Terry just love story, which was exciting, but what if we got a Terry triangle? Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have got your hopes up too much, but that's what I would.
I know.
It's up when it's up. When it's
Hey.
up and it's done.
And then with Felix back, and he's Carly's talking at him, which is weird, but they were friends back in the day. They haven't been friends in a long time, which is what feels so weird about it. And I'm like, is this gonna be like a weird thing where we're just gonna put Felix and Brad together because of the only gays left? Which also, okay, I'm not mad about Felix and Brad being together because that's always been one of my crack ships. But what I'm mad about is them being together because of the only gay people on the show.
And I'm mad, like, having him have a conversation with Carly needs to happen in order for Brad and him to happen. Like, he could just be there and working because he's, supposedly works at the hospital. Carly does not have to have a heart-to-heart with him.
And what is the conversation? Is it that Felix didn't know Brad was out? Because, like, what conversation could spark Felix to be like, oh yeah, let me go date the dude who like
no
kidnapped your grandkid?
I don't think. Surely not. I don't even know if that's what he makes a decision about. I just want Felix to get laid, and Brad. I do want them. I would love a little love-hate build up between them, actually. But I don't want it to happen this way.
Yeah, because they kind of dropped the story with Felix and Lucas. Like, they were supposed to go out to dinner. Remember when Brad was in the hospital before?
Oh, that's right.
And he had overheard that conversation. So what happened with that? Where's Lucas?
Maybe that's what Carly tells him, that Lucas is like out of town or something. I don't know.
Lucas is out of town. Oh, and by the way, me and Sunny are going through some things. Let me tell you about it.
Well, at least she's telling him and not an inanimate object like she did before with that vending machine and Jason.
Oh Lord, the vending machine.
That was just the worst. My God.
Ava and Nicholas celebrating Valentine's Day. Well, I hope something goes terribly wrong.
Victor comes in and with the martini and being like, hey y'all, what's up?
He's like, happy Valentine's Day to my favorite family members.
By the way, I'm moving in because we need to do something with this island other than having you guys live here. I don't know, something.
Yes.
I wanted to
weather machine here.
Right. I wanted to involve Victor in a messy way, and Ava being intrigued by it and bored by Nicholas.
I love it. Great vision. No notes.
Right.
Okay. So we also have a lot of baby swap spoilers for the week. Brooklyn and Chase know what they have to do. Austin threatens Victor. Brooklyn and Chase help each other through a painful moment. Nina. Oh, wait, no. Not Nina. I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Austin and Obrecht enact their plan while Sam and Drew meet on the pier. Felicia, Laura, and Anna gather at GH. Maxie wakes from a nightmare. Sam seeks Austin and Obrecht.
So here's my guess. I'm guessing Brooklyn and Chase are going to give Wheezy to some other family member of Maxie so they can just, cut some strings.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Anna and Felicia and Laura are meeting to decide where Wheezy goes. Yeah. And what's weird about the Obrecht and Austin team up is that last word that Obrecht said to Austin was like, you're going to answer to me. And so I'm like, okay, so is she going to forgive him now and work with them or what?
Well, they needed to figure out how to get Kathleen Gotti and Roger Howarth back together. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so yeah, because their friendship, between Liesl and Franco was everything. And so yeah, I hope she does forgive him or something. I don't know. Just weird.
I hope that Brooklyn and Chase are helping each other with sex.
They better.
Hurry
up.
Now we want to see that together now then. Is that where you guys at?
Something.
I just don't want to see any more of the open mouth lingering over each other.
Take your shirt off, Chase.
Yes, we want to see more, literally more of Chase.
I want Chase to have a one-night stand with Carly. That's what I want. And I talked about that in my tweet thread last week when I missed you guys. And I was like, didn't we want Chase to have some sex with some real women? And y'all were for it before. So now Carly's available. Chase needs to jump on that. I don't know. That's my thinking.
So Caroline, with Chase's life would never be the same.
It would not.
Like it would just, that little sweet.
I don't know if he'd survive it. I don't know,
but I do love it.
It would be like some hot mess. That would be amazing.
He's only been sleeping with Willow,
right?
Been on the canvas, so
yeah, that is true.
He's had sex with. So going straight to Caroline, that's it's a
jump.
You guys were talking about Chase and Elizabeth, right? I don't remember.
That's a crack ship. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, we just wanted Chase to have sex with somebody. I don't necessarily need a relationship to happen, but we're just like one good.
But Chase with one of Liz's alters is all I'm saying. Could be.
Oh yeah, because Tess did that when she was on when it was One Life to Live. She was just sleeping with random folks.
It could be. I'm not sure I understand the characterization of Chase participating in that, but I wouldn't be mad if it happened.
Or if Elizabeth, yeah, because I don't want her. Like the only other eligible men would be Drew, and I don't want it to happen again.
So back to the baby swap.
I am on the cruise ship.
What do we think is gonna happen with Maxie?
She's gonna wake up and realize she's still with Pete McGeets and she needs to I just made that up. I just felt like
Look at you just on the fly.
Appropriate.
So yeah, she's gonna wake up and realize, oh my God, I'm with this man. What am I gonna do?
She's gonna wake up and be like, God damn it, it is Paxi Endgame. Yeah, I don't know. I think that I agree about the Brooklyn and Chase. Like I think that they'll place Louise with family. And I think Chillin, I'm gonna call Chillin grief sex. And then probably a grief baby, to be honest. I just feel like if the direction that just them talking about Brooklyn as a mother and all that, like they're gonna have a baby.
Think about the brilliance of a Chase and Carly thing, right? So Carly turned down Drew.
Yeah.
She needs to have some angry sex. What if Chase and Brooklyn give away Wheezy and Brooklyn's like, okay, I'm just gonna go home and count my $250,000. And Chase is just, runs and they both walk into each other, Carly and Chase, and just like, we need something right now. And then they don't speak of it again. Like it's like really hot, wild sex in the hotel for like 24 hours. And then they walk away and forget the whole thing.
This is the fanfic that I am living for. Right in. Absolutely. I love it.
Okay. I wouldn't hate it. I struggle to see it happening.
It probably
would like for it to happen.
Yes.
Any of what you all have put forward. It feels like it's gonna be really light, or at least it's spoiler light on the Carsona. That's what I'm calling them, Carsona story. But we know that Carly's exploring her options. I'm assuming that means her talking to the divorce attorney that she put on the shared family calendar. Speaking of people not knowing how to use the internet,
I I think her assistant did that,
But I was
right?
like, was it her or her assistant that she
It was her
fired?
assistant that she needs to
And I
fire.
thought her assistant was cute. I was actually sitting there being like, Carly, maybe you should hit up your assistant. Anyway, she was cute. She had a little short haircut. Anyway, Joss is worried about Carly. So we're gonna get Joss being new Jason, which is not what Joss needs for her image right now. I'll put it that way. And then speaking of their inappropriate relationships with their children, Sunny will be running into Michael this week as well.
Is Michael going to be angry at him again and yell at him on behalf of his mom? And
I'm assuming so.
Absolutely.
wait a minute. But that presumes it's going to get out. Is Ava going to tell everybody?
Ooh, I don't know. Well, I know that there's some Michael and Willow stuff earlier in the week. I don't know if they're gonna find out, or maybe Sunny will assume that Carly's told Michael because
And he's like,
she
okay,
sure was trying to.
right.
I'm sure like Michael's gonna be playing his little stuff with Sunny.
Yeah.
This will be also the first time they've interacted since Sunny's been back on his meds too. So I'd be interested to see if any of that comes to play. And then of course, Joss will be. I do look forward to Joss inevitably talking mad trash on Sunny. I always do enjoy that. If I don't like the, Joss Carly dynamic when it comes to Carly like dumping her problems on Joss, but I do like Joss talking trash on Sunny because he's trash.
Again, Christina needs to be here. And then also what I would like to see is Sunny talking with Dante, because I did like those father-son interactions. And I think Sunny was trying to talk with Dante, but Dante's in the middle of this huge case. But because I think, he's like, I want to talk to my son because I know he's probably gonna need some advice. I prefer him to talk with Dante than Michael.
I prefer him talking to Michael because I would prefer Dante doing other things than talk to Sunny.
Anytime Dante is on the screen is a satisfactory result for me.
True. You bring up excellent points. Let's talk about, we're going to talk about the C team storylines, which are basically everything else. And then we're going to talk about the Ice Princess. So these are just like the assorted spoilers that didn't fall under the other categories. We have Portia and Curtis making up for their canceled Valentine's plans. We saw Portia cancel them on Friday. We have more with Liz's mystery, just that Finn is concerned about Liz. Brando tracks down Sasha at the Metro Court. Remember them? Remember our dead baby couple? Well, they're back for a random day. And then Michael and Willow are impatient, and Nina and Willow cross unexpectedly at GH.
Okay. So
they must be impatient about that birth certificate or something.
Yeah. And so since they're making a big deal out of Willow and Nina crossing paths, I think they're going to try to explore that idea of Nina being her mom.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
We got to find out something else about that heart necklace and how it's actually like a secret DNA test.
The hat, when Hat Daddy took his hat off, like, Curtis, don't you see? I am your father. Now we had Sunny found by Sauce. Thanks, Trina. We have maternity test by Heart Necklaces. What's next?
What's next? Well, I think what's next is how are we going to figure out Trina's paternity stuff? So what wild shit are they going to do? Because I think that's like the undercurrent of the Portia and Curtis stuff, I think, because we also just saw Portia, Taggart, and Trina together. So that was why a little, like, we're getting things rolling. And the February spoiler for Portia and Curtis was something about the past getting in the way of their relationship or threatening their relationship. So
I think that means Jordan's coming back.
which
Or just enough that it's enough that Taggart being on the campus would be also explanation of that. Spoiler.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think but with Taggart, he's already said that he was like cool with her and Curtis. The Taggart stuff felt more like reminding us about the bond between Trina and Taggart. Although if they were to continue on, I just don't think that Taggart interrupting Curtis and Portia's relationship makes sense with Raelle as Taggart. Now, if they kept going with Asante Jones as Taggart, I think that would make more sense.
Yeah.
But I do agree that Jordan, I think that what Molly and TJ were talking about in the preview during their date was Jordan coming back. So we're gonna Jordan.
Be the new Jordan.
There was a leak recast, but then that was like 2 or 3 months ago. And then we haven't heard anything since then. So I don't know if that moved forward, and I wasn't familiar with the actress, but other people were.
Yeah, I mean, we did hear that Taj is getting on contract. So he's been TJ, who has been recurring for a couple years, is now going to be on contract, which is exciting.
There some of the theories around Trina and her paternity stuff is also like, could it have something to do with Hat Daddy's health scare? Could it have something to do if they were ever to follow up on Trina being drugged? Like, could that have longer term ramifications on her health? But who knows, because apparently she was just like up and talking and fine a couple hours later. So that all feels so hard to speculate around the medicine of it all, because General Hospital turns out doesn't, I don't believe that they have a medical consultant on.
So I have 2 things that I want. One is about what you talked about, and the second one is not about what you talked about. So what I think, I don't know if I've said this on the show, so sorry if I'm repeating this, but I really love Trina's dynamic with Portia, and I don't want like a very long story of them being on the outs. So obviously, like, we know Trina, and we know when she finds out the truth, there's gonna be some ramifications for it, but I don't want it to be long term. So what I hope it is that Hat Daddy has this medical scare, and then like Curtis and everybody's like held up at the hospital because he needs something. I don't know what he'll need. And Portia is like, fuck, let me like see if Trina is like a match. And in that, they find out that like Trina is Curtis's kid. And so that will automatically kind of like get her in with the Ashfords, because I don't want her to like not have anybody. Like, I want her to immediately get into like being family. And whether that's like with Curtis or whether it's with Stella or someone, I want her to immediately have like some kind of in with the family that she feels comfortable like talking with. And then I hope that there's then something that happens that like forces her to like be in relationship with Portia like not too long afterwards. So that's like my hope for that story. And then my hope for Xander's kid, I've just really had this dream that Lucky comes back, JJ's Lucky, and Xander's like as part of like the DID and all of that. And then Xander's kid is like, fuck you, you like abandoned me and my brothers and my mom. It's actually why I've been so protective of them. This is why I didn't go off to college, and like really like go the fuck off on Lucky not being there for them. Like, do not ignore that he hasn't been there. And then they bond over music like Nashville.
I love it.
Good. That's
I would watch it.
That's
I wasn't expecting that right now, but all of a sudden I was like, where'd Cam come from?
You know,
there's nothing about him though, so he needs to be on the campus. It doesn't
It
have to
fits
be
more into
about
the BID.
yeah.
I see. Yeah. I think William might be off canvas for a minute because he had surgery, but yes, I would
He had like tonsil surgery, right?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
So we will see Joss and Spencer for sure this week. Probably, I don't think that we'll see Cam, but we will be setting intentions for Tracey's offering, which
Yes.
it's a very generative offering. Thank you so much.
I appreciated the music angle too.
Yes. They can play a little song together. They could have like a song battle.
It's a Savoy.
I don't want that because you know how I feel about white men and guitars. And if you know how I feel about it, I hate it.
But I love it. And so they could be the live music at the Savoy.
I also hate that. But you know what? We can't agree on everything. So finally, the best spoiler of them all, an unseasonable heat wave hits Port Charles on Friday.
What?
Also on Friday, Laura visits Spencer at Spring Ridge and Victor interrupts Ava and Nicholas.
See? That's what I wanted to happen on Monday, but I guess it's not happening until Friday. Either way, it's gonna happen. And
I love how that's what you took away from those spoilers. It wasn't the unseasonable heat wave, it was the Viva, and I appreciate the commitment. I appreciate it.
I'm committed to my fan fictions.
I know.
I'm committed to
I definitely learned that about you in this episode.
I'm committed to the Metro Court pool being reopened. Let's bring that back.
Ooh.
Because let's make explicit what's been implicit. An unseasonable heat wave hits Port Charles means
Dante without his shirt on.
Means the weather machine.
Oh, I guess.
The Dom thirst on the podcast is like my favorite through line. It's like, yes, come to us for your Sprina, come to us for your Havana, but also come to us for your Dom thirst. That's our promo.
Right.
I love it.
Thirst. I'm just crying. It's so funny to me right now.
An emotional experience for you.
It is. I'm just like, oh. Yeah, weather machine. So what's
No.
Weather machine. I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I love a messy, soapy like throwback. And so what I really hope is like the kind of weather machine stuff like starts with like really similar to what we saw happen with the possession on Days, like starts with the vets, gives them like the material that they deserve because all of our vets are so good and they will all deliver. Like, I mean, Jeannie Francis has just shown you, I'm that bitch in these Charles streets. Okay. Yes. And so like, let's let Jeannie like shine and do what Jeannie does. And then like once Spencer is out, like hand it over to like the younger folks for like an adventure in that way. That's what I really hope for the story. But I hope that it heavily features the vets on the front end.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that this Laura, Felicia, Anna stuff is like also a indication that they'll be teaming up around the Ice Princess storyline and the weather machine. I want to continue to see that configuration, in particular, like Laura and Anna. I love them working together. Like, why can't we have that all the time? And Laura visiting Spencer like at the launch of this also makes me very hopeful about his participation in the storyline. And like, if you think Spencer looks wild, on Monday. Just imagine how he's going to look during the heat wave on Friday. What I do need is for the heat wave to continue, so we can reopen the Metroport pool, everyone's favorite set. And B, I need for the heat wave to still be going on when Sprina is working at the gallery together. It writes itself.
Yes.
It writes itself.
Just like shirtless handyman around Ava's Gala, aka Sprina's Gallery.
Sprina's Gallery, because it belongs to Sprina now. It is the Sprina Gallery. It is no longer the Jerome Gallery. And I want like Trina trying to concentrate. Because Trina's like so like focused. She's so on top of her shit. She, when Spencer was trying to like whatever apologize to her, she was like, I am working on a very important project right now and I don't have time for you. But things are a little different between them now. Their feelings, are at least semi-known to each other. And so, I want Trina to have a really hard time concentrating and for her to be very, very annoyed about it. Hot and bothered, if you will.
I see that wordplay. Okay, English major. Okay.
I like to say, when it's hot, I'm like, I'm hot and I'm bothered by it, but I like your I do.
Because I just want to say, when I saw the weather for Oakland, I was like, it's unseasonably warm.
It is.
Victor, in myself term. Victor?
Did you, side note, peep how many little earthquakes we had so close together with this unseasonably warm weather?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm very scared.
Victor?
Victor?
Victor, help. Can you cool it down a little? I want that to be part of his pitch to like Spencer to team up with him, because inevitably like he is going to try to bring Spencer into it, right? And that's going to be part of the tension of the storyline, is that Spencer, we already know he's drawn to the power of it without really knowing about everything to do with the Ice Princess. But for Victor to be like, I'm just, like we could cool down the planet together. Like, really? I'm an environmentalist.
A global warming type thing.
Not Victor being Tom Steyer.
Right.
You see where I'm going here? The vision.
I see the vision. I see the crossover that you're doing here.
I'm a Victor apologist.
Victor.
Except for when he's ruining my ships.
Because you know what, Victor? I wanted my faves and Camp Kidnap. And so when you inevitably kidnap Trina, we're not doing the shit with the garbage.
No
I
garbage.
want a girl living in the lap of kidnapped luxury.
We need the Liesel suite.
Yeah, I don't understand why Valentine can get the Liesel suite in the treat, and why we didn't get him bored in the room.
I think it was they needed to like that. I don't think that was part of the plan.
Yeah.
I think that was like a panic move, and that's why he got dumped. And that the reason why they did that was also to make it look like, well, that's not Victor's style.
Victor would never.
But also Peter would not just dump Valentine. He would kill him.
Right.
So joke's on you, Victor.
Peter and that damn pizza guy hat.
And that it said pizza delivery guy on the hat.
that was hilarious.
It could have just had like a pizza slice, but someone went to like Party Galaxy. Sir. And you know what, Charlotte, are you a Cassadine or what? Someone shows up at the door wearing a hat that says pizza delivery guy. That's a red flag, honey. Did your pair not tell you that?
I wish that Esme would have been there and got kidnapped too.
Esme strolled up and was like, this was sloppy. This was sloppy. I wouldn't wait for her.
And she probably called Laura calm as hell, like, yeah, look, Charlotte ain't here. but it's a guy, pizza delivery guy, knocked out. I don't know what y'all want me to do.
I could heat up some pizza rolls, or
if we still want pizza, I can make that happen.
what are we gonna do? What are we doing for dinner now?
Right. How does this affect me and Spencer?
She's like, oh wait, let me check my sociopath handbook, how to human. I'm very concerned. I cannot find the child.
But we haven't answered to the question of what happens with Esme now that Spencer's in jail. Apparently, she still gets to stay at Laura's house.
She does. She does for now.
For now, I'm hoping another fan fiction is that Laura and Kevin have a talk with Esme and be like, okay, so, Spencer's gone. What are your plans?
What's the
it's Valentine's Day. We need to have the place to
our grandchild just got recovered, so we're feeling even. It's Valentine's Day. I know that Spencer's in prison, but no. I think that the motivation, I think there's a couple of things with Esme continuing to stay at Laura and Kevin's. Like, one is that they're not monsters.
Yeah,
right?
It's not.
They're not going to turn this young girl out on the street, even though she's,
a psychopath.
Yes. They just suspect she's a psychopath. They don't know that she is one. And I think that Kevin is also he is very committed to keeping an eye on her.
I think he might have a same kind of let me watch her type thing, the same way he did with Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Which is also what Spencer is likely doing as well with her. And that's part of like what that Nicholas Chavez interview from Soap Opera Digest touches on a bit, is like confirmation what we've been suspecting, which is that the real reason why he is still with Esme or like siding with her or what have you is because he feels responsible for her behavior and needs to like find out more.
But that didn't work out for Kevin so well with Ryan last time. So I hope he, does things a little differently.
We'll see. Because I also think that, no matter, I think the thing that will turn Spencer from her is when he finds out she drugged Trina. Other than that, he's going to continue to make excuses for her. I think it's really important I think that the conversation he had with Joss and Cam before he left was like really important. Like, look, she's the other person who's been there for me. She's the person who's made me feel this or that way. And so like breaking up that relationship is going to be different for him and difficult for him. Of course, somebody out here, I don't know if y'all can hear that in the background.
Yeah.
What happens when your show is free? You know what I mean? No studio.
I also have the same thing going on in the background because I
can't hear it on you though.
Okay. Well, yes. I also think that like there's a difference. I think he has turned from Esme, but it's a matter of actually breaking up and like making that explicit. But that's not going to happen for a long time. Right. Because for storyline reasons, but also for like tactical reasons, right? You're not gonna like, if you were going, let's say you were in a messy ass relationship, you wanted out, but then your partner also works at the prison that you're about to be incarcerated in for 30 days. It might not be the right time, friends. It might not be the right time. I personally would not. I would do what Spencer's doing. No matter how dreamy like the apple of my eye was, I would still be like, I'm gonna have to like figure out how to make an exit strategy for this. But I wonder what sort of obstacles that she will present to him to finally like closing that out at the end of the stay. And so I think a lot of what his time in prison will mean for her is figuring out how is she going to keep Spencer with her after he gets out of Spring Ridge.
There's still also that little matter of that videotape with Chaos, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems really tacky, disgusting to do, and I'm not looking forward to whatever they're trying to do with it. Maybe they've dropped it.
No. I was as I just go, no, they couldn't drop something so tacky and disgusting. They just wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think we'll see anything about that anytime soon, or at least that's my guess from what I've seen of the spoilers, and also just because of William's
Being out of
surgery. But we may start to see Esme moving more pieces, because I don't think whatever plan she has in place, because right, she's getting revenge on Joss, Cam, and Trina. We have not seen all of the parts of that plan yet. So I think that there's more that she's going to be doing in the coming weeks to set that up, but we won't see the actual like release or blackmail or whatever it is that she's planning on doing with that for a little while, because you know how slow they are with this stuff. But we will be seeing more, I think, of like Esme also trying to navigate the relationships with like Kevin, Laura, like these people in Spencer's life who are tuned in to the fact that she's not who she says she is, and also that she's not the most important person in Spencer's life. So I would also like when Laura visits Spencer, I would like a little acknowledgement of like, so what exactly did we walk in at the gallery, or like something about like, oh, you notice you said goodbye to Trina 3 times. I approve.
Wouldn't that be also awesome if Laura and Ava connect over Spencer and Trina? Because Laura and Ava like each other.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they run into each other and be like, hey, so what did you think about that? What's going on with, and Laura becomes a Springer shipper, and Ava and Laura plot to make it happen. There's another fanfic. Let's
Laura and Eva do matchmaker. What? Hello, Dolly.
Yeah,
I see it.
People have been DMing, so there's like a Sprina one-shot contest. That's I think the due date is either today or tomorrow. So people have been like DMing us like their one-shots, just asking us what we think, and they've all been really, really good. So they've been really good.
I believe that. I believe in the creativity of Sprina.
The Sprina fandom. So good.
So good.
All right.
Wow, y'all, we had a supersized episode today.
We sure did.
No deep dive.
Almost 4:00.
No deep dive. Just me talking about how much I fucking can't stand Sunny and Nina.
And all my fanfic.
That did happen.
And all your fanfic. But that's because we missed you, Tonya. So,
Yay.
We just had to catch up.
Yeah. There's a lot to catch up on.
That's right. Do we have anything that we want to leave off with our Jordan episode?
No, I feel complete.
Me too.
Yeah.
Free Spencer.
Free Spencer.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Bye, y'all. See y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.